It's Dennis McNeil for Causeway Coast Community on a beautiful sunny day in Portrush, and we are just alongside or just out in front of Portrush Lifeboat. Of course, it is Raft Race Day today, a day when each and every year vital funds are raised for the work of Portrush Lifeboat. And if you have a look round, if the camera can pan across, the water's perfectly calm as far as I can see. Looks to me like a brilliant day to get a raft out. I do know at the latest count there were 30 odd rafts entered, but normally that figure could rise to maybe 60 before the raft race itself kicks off. Kerr Street Green starting to fill up. A lot of rafts already trying to make their way and get themselves down and placed on the beach. And the lifeboat is behind us. They've got an open visit for 2 hours. We're going to pop on board now. And we're on board the William Gordon Burr. Very sunny day, as I was saying, outside. Slightly dark in here, if you can follow me through. If I can step up here, what do we see? Whoops, as I bang and crunch my way through. What's the part of the boat we're on now, Mark? This is Mark Mitchell, who is the
deputy second coxswain of Portrush Lifeboat.
Is this the?
This is the wheelhouse.
So the pilot sits here, or the driver? What's he called?
Well, the coxswain and the helm and the navigator would be up in this very forward part of the boat.
So when there's a shout, that's the correct terminology, I think. When there's a shout, where do you sit in this machine?
Depending on my role, if I'm the main coxswain, centre chair, then you're really managing the rest.
Which is in here
that you're in fact, and then you're able to survey everything. And you've a helmsman on the helm seat, a navigator over there to your right, and you run the rescue from there until such times as you get on scene, which we transfer up to the top.
So how many people? I was going to say men. They're not, because it's men and women. How many folk are on board this lifeboat?
6 on a shout then. So you've got a coxswain and a mechanic and 4 crew. So that's there would be about 18 on the squad to be able to support that and make sure that everybody is covered at all times, 24 hours a day.
Now, the camera can easily pick out that we're sitting alongside here in Portrush, that it's perfectly calm, brilliant day, one of the best days we've had probably ever for raft race. What is it like sitting on board here on one of the more normal days that we have around this part of the coastline?
Well, actually surprisingly violent. The seats are designed to take the shock out of the banging the boat will do through the waves. They're called shock mitigating seats, which affects us. The vibration would affect us in other ways if we didn't have that. So it can be quite violent, and you have to be strapped in, holding yourself in, and it's quite uncomfortable.
And a big question, men don't ask this, but I am going to ask you, is it scary? It's got to be scary, surely.
Oh, anybody who says they've never been scared is either silly or lying, because you do get scared, there's no doubt. But what we do know, when we bring somebody on board, they're a lot more scared than we would have been in the circumstances.
So if you've brought someone on board here, just glancing over my shoulder, a patient or whatever, where does that person go?
Well, if they are a patient, then we work in the aft part of the boat there, where we're all quite medical trained to the standard of ambulance responders. So what we do is we work on them in stretchers there. But if they're walking wounded or if they're able-bodied, we either keep them up here with us, or if there's a lot of them, we put them down in a survivor compartment so that they are looked after down there by some of the crew.
And you may not know the exact sum, but it's expensive when the lifeboat goes out.
I think the latest sum is something around about 5,000 a shout is what they look at in terms of depreciation, maintenance, fuel, etc., but not crew wages, because we don't get any.
Yes. And how often are you guys out in the month or out throughout the year?
Well, the number of times last year was 54, which was quite a big year. This year has been very few shouts actually, but they tend to come in a bit of fingers crossed. But they can be out there. There's no reason for being less or more. But we are seeing a pattern where there are less shouts as people get more educated about being near the sea. There's lots of good programs about our work. There's lots of good education going on in schools to say about water safety. And we are seeing, and also people educating themselves in the field of boating.
And what I find interesting, Mark, is the latest advert or promo that I've seen running is if you fall into the water, don't struggle, don't try to swim, try to float.
That's right, try to float. Try to find some way of making yourself float if you're in a life jacket, ideally. But if you're not in a life jacket, you can fashion one out of trousers tied at the end, but basically to sit still and wait for rescue, because the body will lose heat a lot faster when you move.
Okay, now, I know you're going to a meeting, and fingers crossed that today's a very big day. It's important that people contribute to the RNLI today, isn't it?
Oh yes, and in the good weather it does tend to really swell the coffers. People do come out, but do put money in the buckets, because all of this, everything you see and hear about, is being paid for by that. It takes a lot to run the organisation and to keep these boats going, and every little helps.
Okay, and finally, for anyone watching this on Causeway Coast Community who fancies joining or helping out in some way with the RNLI, how do they go about that?
Well, they contact the Lifeboat House. The contact numbers will be online on the RNLI website, but they can get involved as a fundraiser, they can get involved with the shop, they can get involved in PR.
And how do they actually get onto the boat and work on the boat as you're doing?
Well, they've got to show an interest first. They've got to have a little bit of knowledge about the sea, but then we can take them, give them a chance and train. There's the onboard training, and the training supported by the Lifeboat College is absolutely second to none, and we can bring somebody from zero to a full pledged crew member in about a year.
And we'll see you out here later this afternoon keeping an eye on the rafts.
That's right, so we do that, and we also, just before that, will be doing a rescue demo showing some of the techniques that we use.
Alderman Norman Hillis going to have a bit of a chat with us. Norman, brilliant to see the crowds like this in Portrush.
It's absolutely superb, and it really means it's another brilliant day in Portrush. We've had a wonderful weekend last week at the Northwest 200. Frequently rains at the Northwest. It frequently rains at the Raft race, but isn't it glorious? And look at the crowds behind us here. Absolutely fantastic. Great family atmosphere.
Just think of what it would add to the premier seaside resort in Northern Ireland if we had this sort of weather all summer.
Well, there's nowhere like it in the world. I've been around a lot of places like most folk. There's nowhere like it, the North Coast. I'm a bit biased, but Portrush, Port Stewart, absolutely brilliant. So if we had the weather, we have everything. We certainly have the scenery, and we have a very welcoming people here. A lot of visitors tell me that they enjoy talking to the locals. The locals love talking to the visitors. So it's a brilliant place. Wee bit better weather would be brilliant, would be really good for us.
And you're a local businessman, you're a local councillor. How does it lift your spirits when you get up in a morning like today and you come down and you see what is behind us now in terms of these crowds?
Well, it certainly lifts my soul, that's for sure, because this is Portrush. It's kids running around, they're in and out of the water. The tide's out at the moment, so there's loads of beach. So we're about to have the raft race starting. And isn't this a great fundraiser for a very useful organisation?
And that's the important bit, Norman. We come down for the fun, we come down for the crack, and we hope to see people get pushed off their raft, maybe into the water. But it's for a very important cause.
Yeah. Well, it's a very vital cause as well, because the RNLI do save lives. People have mishaps, they get trapped on rocks, their boat starts to go down. These guys are to be admired that are belonging to the crew, and of course all the support people behind the scenes who do the fundraising. I'm told that when a lifeboat goes out it costs something like £6,000, so that money has to come from somewhere. So this is, as you quite rightly say, Dennis, loads of people here enjoying themselves, but it is importantly for a good cause like the RNLI.
And Norman, it must be wonderful finally to sit on Causeway Coast and Glens Council representing this whole beautiful area and knowing that we've so much going for us throughout the rest of the year.
Well, it sounds terrible to be saying you're proud, but honest to heavens, haven't we got an area here to be really, really proud of? Because, when you go round from the Glens of Antrim, Carrick-a-Reid, Ballycastle, all the Game of Thrones sites, right round Port Ballantrae, Portrush, right on round to Limavady, we definitely have the cream of the crop. So I hope every citizen in the Causeway Coast and Glens area is as proud as me of our area.
Claire Sugden, local lass. Claire, how's it going?
It's going really well. Look at the weather, it's stunning. Look at the people that's here. It's proud to be from the North Coast and showing my support, but it's lovely to be able to walk around the sun for a change. So no, great, fantastic.
You're a sort of seaside village or seaside town person anyway.
Yes, I live out in Castlerack, but it's nice to come visit the seaside neighbours and show the support to the raft race today, which is in support of RNLI, which is a great cause. But I think it's about families. I think it's about people just being happy, and I think we deserve that.
But what is it about the North Coast that, and okay, we keep our fingers crossed for the weather, but what is it about the North Coast that brings people here endlessly?
I think we just have to look around. You know, even on a bad day, it's wonderful to come up to the North Coast and just be by the sea. I think there's something quite calming about that. But on a stunning day like today, you just can't keep people away, and it's really great to see because we have something very special up here in the North Coast, and it's important we make the most of it.
Would it work wonders if we filled a coach with politicians and brought them up here to calm them all down, I wonder?
Well, we need to do something, certainly, but I'm not quite sure. You know, I think this is the sad thing, if anything, about today, is that we have so much potential here, you know, because of places like Portrush, because of like Castle Rock, and we're not making the most of that because for some reason some politicians just can't get over themselves.
A man alongside me knows a thing or two about keeping an eye on a crowd. Chief Inspector Ian McGee with some crowd here this afternoon.
Dennis, in all my time coming here, I don't think I've ever seen as big a crowd in my time. But look at it, look at the weather, look at the amount of people here, the good nature, absolutely class. And all I want is that they have a brilliant time, and that at the end of the day, they all go home and get home safely.
It makes for an easier day for the police when you have a family crowd, presumably, who are all very good natured.
Of course it does, because people want to come along here, they want to have a good time with their children, and you know what, I want to get talking to them, I want them to see the side of us, that we're all fathers, sisters, brothers and all the rest of it. Come along, have a good time, interact with the police and get away home safely.
A final question. Final question. Are we going to see a PSNI Raft from Coleraine one of these years?
Well, we might well do, but you know what, I'm a bit heavy for them. But you know what I'm concerned about is the fact that Liverpool are going to be champions of Europe tonight. I'm on the red army.
I should have told that man there was no football talk allowed. Chief Inspector, thanks very much.
Here for Vinnie Candela from America. Okay, Vinnie Candela from America. I believe you. Introduce your team. Right, come on, folks, who's going to be first in the water? This is always the first in the far end. Look at the far end now. That's really clever.
Yeah, that's it.
Going to hit the water.
Is that it?
Followed by this on the 100 ground.
Come on, lads! Come on, lads! Come on!
Record is just number 6 minutes.
It's Dennis McNeil here with the winning crew. Guys, in the last, 10 minutes, spoke to you on the beach. How easy was that today?
Not very.
Well, you were first.
I think it's getting easier.
You were first into the water.
Yes, that's the key. As the captain said, get in first.
The captain did say. He also told us what your secret weapon was at the back. Sorry.
The captain's still in the water.
Why is he still there?
He's swimming.
All right, listen, boys, well done. 3 years in a row.
My first year.
It's your first year. Is this your third? 3 years in a row. Very quickly. What are your plans for celebrations?
We're going to go maybe out in the town, get them a date down to the Rammore, get a good feed.
Good stuff. Well said. Well done, boys. Thanks for coming down to take part. That's the guys from the Ballyronan Bandit there. Number 1 again in this year's Raft Race here in Portrush. For Cosby Coast Community, I'm Dennis McNeil at the Raft Race.